Hello, children. We are actually studying The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. We have completed part 1 and we have started part 2 in last class. And we are now into stanza 11. Let me give you a short recap of what we studied in previous classes. So, the highwayman and Bess are lovers, and the highwayman tells Bess to wait for him to return. He says, he tells her that he is after a prize and he'll be back soon. So, in the second part, if you see, we find that Bess is waiting for the highwayman to return, but he does not come back in the morning or the afternoon. So, in the evening, we see that the king's men, that is British soldiers, they came riding into the town, and what they do is they capture Bess and they tie her up and they use her as bait. And now the poor Bess, she is in the hands of the soldiers. She is unable to get free from them, and her hands are tied and she struggles hard to escape from them, but she couldn't. And finally she gets no hold of the trigger, so her finger touches the trigger. So this is where we stopped in last class, and we'll see what happens in the next stanza. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for rest. Up she stood to attention with the barrel beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight. Blank and bare in the moonlight. And the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. See, now in the stanza, Bess, she just gets the tip of her finger on the trigger. That is, her finger is on the trigger now. The tip of one finger touched it. The tip of her finger touched the trigger. So her finger is on the trigger now. Then she stands up at attention, holding the gun under her breast. And now we are curious to know what Bess is going to do, because she has clearly got a plan. She holds the gun tightly under her breast, but we do not know what she is going to do with that gun. Okay, so Bess saw that the road is empty. So she could see the road, and she says that the road lay bare in the moonlight, because the highwayman has not returned yet. So the road is empty and her blood is throbbing, or we could hear her heartbeat, refrain. Okay, next stanza. Toll, 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 toll. Had they heard it? This horse hooves ringing clear out in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their prim. She stood up straight and still. So the next stanza, we hear the steady repeating sound of the horse's hooves. So this is the sound of the horse's hooves. You would have heard the sound. It's told that this is the sound. So we hear the steady repeating sound of the horse. So this is actually the bad news to Bess, because the highwayman is coming back. The sound, she could hear the sound. So this means the highwayman is coming back. And now the Bess, she is tensed or nervous because the soldiers are waiting to kill him. And she wonders whether the soldiers have heard that sound, the told sound of the horses. Were they deaf that they did not hear? She wonders, she has doubt whether they are pretending that they did not hear the sound. And now the highwayman comes riding along the road. Okay, he came riding along the road, and he appears over the top of the hill. So the soldiers, they heard the sound and they start getting their guns ready. So she stood up straight and still, Bess. Next stanza. Told, told in the frosty silence, told, told in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved into the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. So the sound, the told sound, now we hear the sound of the highwayman. That is what it's given here, told in the frosty silence. So he is approaching, the highwayman is approaching. We hear the sound of the hooves again and again. So that is the only sound in the silent, cold night. So told, told sound in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Okay, so this sound, that was the only sound in the silent, cold night. He comes closer and closer. And now Bess' face, it shines in darkness. We do not know whether it's because of, her fear or sweat, but her face shines in the darkness. And now Bess makes her move. Because, she has that gun in her hand and she makes her move. But we do not know what she is going to do with the gun. She opens her eyes and she takes a breath. See, she drew one last deep breath. She opens her eyes wide for a moment. She takes a long breath, last deep breath, and she pulled the trigger. And what did she do? She shoots herself in the chest, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. Shoots herself in the chest. See, this is an unexpected move, but she did this for love. Okay, for the love, for her love, and to warn the highwayman about the waiting soldiers. She sacrificed her life to save the highwayman. Next stanza. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood bowed. With her head over the musket, drenched with her own red blood. Not till the dawn he heard it. His face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. So the highwayman hears the warning. Without knowing where it came from, he takes off back to the west. So he turned. Okay, he heard that sound, he heard the gun sound, but he did not know from where it came from. But he takes it as a warning and he takes off back to the west. So what happens to Bess here? She dies. Bess drenched with her own red blood. She dies. And later, the highwayman hears what happened to Bess. So not till the dawn, he heard it. And once when he heard what happened to Bess, that is, Bess is no more or Bess is killed or she killed herself, the highwayman's face, his face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, died. Okay, his face goes grey when he hears the news. So again, if you see, Bess' death is described here in the stanza. The landlord's black-eyed daughter had watched her love in the moonlight, died in the darkness there. Next stanza. So back he spurred like a madman, shooking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him, and his rapier brain dished high. Blood red were his spurs. In the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat. When they shot him down in the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay his blood on the highway with a bunch of lace at his throat. So after hearing his lady love's death or Bess' death, The highwayman is almost crazy with sadness and anger, shirking a curse to the sky. So he is almost, crazy with sadness and anger. And he curses and rides as fast as he can. But unfortunately, the highwayman also dies. How did he die? He gets shot down by the British soldiers. So they shot down the highwayman like a dog, down like a dog and on the highway. So the soldiers, they kill the highwayman like a dog. He gets shot down by the British soldiers like a dog. So he is also dead. Bess is also dead. She killed herself. Now the highwayman was killed by the British soldiers. So next stanza, this is the last stanza. And still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. So this is the last stanza. Now we get the little ghost story ending. Even though Bess and the highwayman are dead, their spirits come back to haunt the night. So the last stanza is in present tense. If you see the previous stanza is given like the highwayman came riding, riding. But here, yes, the highwayman came riding, riding. But in the last stanza, if you see, the highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. So it is given in present tense, which means this is not just a thing that happened once. It happens again and again, and could even be happening right now. Okay, so it is a belief that both Bess and the highwayman, or they come as spirits or ghosts, and this is happening even now. Okay, happening right now. So that's why it is given in present tense. So over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who would be waiting there but the landlord's daughter, Bess. The landlord's daughter plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. So this is the end of the poem. So if you see, the central theme of the poem is love. So that is the central theme of the poem, love. So the love between the highwayman and the landlord's daughter is an idealized love. And although it kills them both, we understand that this kind of love is worth and ultimate sacrifice. Is worth the ultimate sacrifice. So the highwayman is an anti-hero, that we know, because he is not a hero, he is a robber, so he is an anti-hero. He is a robber who steals from travelers. So even though his job is not an upstanding one, we still admire his ability to love Bess, and we admire the highwayman, his bravery. He is not an ideal person, but the love they share redeems his character. And an unusual aspect of the poem is that the main characters are beautiful. The writer, the poet, he actually spends a lot of time describing the looks of the highwayman. And the writer wants us to understand that this highwayman is no ordinary robber. He is clean and snappy. And Bess is also described in beautiful terms. Again, in contrast, Tim the ostler is ugly and sloppy. The poem is framed in descriptions of the natural world. For example, the moonlight alone is mentioned 19 separate times in the poem. So this exaggerated or overworldly description of the natural world gives the poem its strong sense of atmosphere. So this we come to the end of this poem.